the Wi-Fi is kind of weak here, so I don't know if this is gonna land because it keeps tapping out on me. Like my shit's so real that the live is tapping out. Hey man, I tap man. This the Wi-Fi tapping out man. Oh, it's all good man. You got this one man. Go on somewhere with this because I can't. But I just want to say with this one, thank you for anyone that checked out the live that I made a live what in human terms what you would call last night or this morning or right now. But so maybe so a civilian no okay so a civilian would call that last night. A sturdy person that works a lot would say this morning, and a master would say right now. I had made that also right now, that video. But they say that you have not because you ask not, but it might be you have not because you say not. Thank you. So thank you for anyone to check it out. And I probably could have made that same video with the same say the same thing, but if it had been like in the form of a video, it probably would have not had the same views. But it's like damn, what's this dude? What's this fool talking right now? Sometimes like you meet some really sturdy people, and I want to talk about one brother that I met. Sometimes you re-meet sturdy people, and like I've met a lot of people doing delivery. Like if you get an opportunity to work for a platform like a lot of like forward facing like a lot of people you might not think of, like what would be a cool first job. I think like your jobs, they whatever you do for jobs, they're gonna play into who you are, who you become. They may lend themselves to what your interests are and what you're good at, but you don't have to be defined by them. But it can amount to different strong suits. So you might have your first jobs, they might be to do with things like technical, like fixing things, working with things where you're out the way, you're out of a lot of the politics and bullshit, and you're out of the you're away from the mayhem of dealing with people as much. And then you got some skills on your hand and you might enjoy those skills, and then you got a nice little handsome or pretty paycheck as you would appreciate that, and then you can go spend that in a way you like and be around people then, but you make your money in a cool way like that. But for me it had been, I had always been I think maybe one thing that might speak to what are some of your interests and your strong suit in this life would be what's impressive to you about other people. Like what's something cool that other people, what's something that was really like damn, how is that person, like kind of thing. So I grew up around some different people, but there was one person in my life when I was young who was like just a distant person in my life, related to people that were closer in my life. But the person was very articulate. He had been. It's kind of interesting because he had been born in a coastal city in Africa, I think. Grew up there like as a child, then came to America and was so like a first generation American African, but also had been born in Africa, learned English in Africa with like some of the African dialect and the accent of your African accent, which is like heavily kind of like Dutch leaning in like Southern Africa, South Africa, Namibia. Already understand English and have a little bit of that character to the voice, but then also actually speak Afrikaans, which I think that's like a amalgamation of Dutch and some African dialects. And Dutch is, I think Afrikaans itself, that might be a perfect example of a coastal dialect. A lot of your coastal places, like say you have your port cities, like we appreciate, you might appreciate things like Louisiana as places for like Mardi Gras and like beautiful culture around Louisiana. Also beautiful people, because you have the in your coastal places you have so much contact and intermingling with people from abroad by necessity, but you also have the love making, the friend making, the fighting that comes with that. Then also the need for communication, and that being shorthand communication. So a lot of times people from a coastal area, like you may not appreciate New York City as a coastal place, but it's as also coastal. And some of your real centers of culture, New York City, the deep South, Louisiana, for New Orleans going back, probably California too. You could, a lot of times you wouldn't appreciate California as a coastal place. Hollywood is maybe the engine of culture the world over. It's been appreciated, but you wouldn't on the surface of it appreciate Hollywood as a coastal place, but it is a coastal place. And then the opportunities there, they draw people in similar like a coastal place, so that sometimes people from a coastal area, they're very excellent communicators. I've appreciated, almost also very formidable too, because it's almost like it's not very different. So some people that are very eloquent, not eloquent as you would appreciate eloquent, but still eloquent, would be like pirates, sailors, and ship workers, any kind of anything to do with a port, sea, ocean. The actual the inter the economics that comes from that, the alliances, the fighting, and the need for efficient, rapid communication with little to no context or shared background. It amounts to a form of like competence around communication and understanding other people, because a lot of communication is a lot about some people would say psychology, for lack of a better word. I normally don't appreciate that word, just because like so your psyche is your, I think psyche refers to your spirit. I think psyche actually means spirit, and then ology is like to study something. But when you study something, you somewhat bastardize it because you already have a slant and a bent and an intention to look to cast it, because they say in science, it's been appreciated on the quantum level that to observe something, it changes the dynamic of something. But then also to study rigorously, to observe something rigorously, meticulously, that's a form that's a little bit of a form of violence, because you alter something, and then if you further influence with what you're studying, you influence it to alter itself. So there's a little bit of a bastardization when you go to study something. So that's why I wouldn't appreciate the word psychology as in to study the spirit, as though, so what need would you be to study? Now if you say psych experience, there's a word, to experience the psyche, that's dope. Now I'll rock with you on that. You got something interesting to say about that, I'm all ears. But you want to study it as though to isolate it, manipulate it, to further control it, to monopolize it, override it, fail-safe it, bastardize it, appropriate it, use it to your own initiative, which would amount to like a self-centered position of gain over and upon what you're studying, whether to benefit that as it or not, as that thing like it or not. That's a little bit form of violence. It's very subtle like that, but some of these subtle things, they play out broad. But for lack of a better word, someone that's skilled around communication, you may not appreciate that it's a form of psychology. One thing that lends itself, like some people might say like damn, how do you run your mouth into a camera like that? How are you having anything to say with the camera? As you see me on camera, this might be a closer approximation of my authentic, congruent self than even people that would know me my entire life, or be, for lack of a better word, a lover of mine. If you ain't too much love going around for somebody like me, but the camera might be better because as I'm making this, I'm looking at myself. I know myself as I know myself, my background. I actually don't get to see what I look like talking in life other than looking at a camera. So I'm actually somewhat gauging. So you do better what you do to yourself, you do towards other people. If I'm mad at myself, if I'm pissed, if I'm brewing, I'm a little bit mad at other people. Some people would appreciate that the way you change outer reality is to change yourself. That's for better or worse. I'm mad. Go away. I'm not gonna say I'm mad at myself, but a lot of times, like you go around some professional people, and like, oh, are you having thoughts of doing this and that to this and that, including yourself? If you know better, you say hell no. But if you were to say heaven forbid you said the wrong thing, they're like, oh, so you actually are thinking about, because what would actually be more significant than if you're thinking a thought about another person is that if you're thinking to yourself, because if you're thinking a thought to yourself, that's actually the best standpoint to influence another person most convincingly, because they're also you and you're also them on the primal level, on the fundamental level. But also, if you're not concerned, or you pull no stops, you pull no punches at your, that's kind of, so you've seen people that are mad at themselves, right? You've seen people that threaten themselves, right? But have you seen somebody actually punch themselves? So you may do something more dire, drastic, and I'm not trying to draw concern with this, but just for teachable, you might do something more dire than punch yourself to yourself, but not actually more earnest and sturdy than punch yourself. Are you strong enough to punch yourself, to throw? Now I've had friends that call themselves love me, call themselves my friend, call themselves checking up on me as I'm even younger than their ass. We're both kids, but you're checking up on me to see how little bro and them doing. But at least once you may have at least thrown a haymaker at me. But are you bad enough? Is there anything? Had there been anyone born that's bad enough to throw an all-out, no stop, no zero pullback on the haymaker to yourself? Right hook to your right hook. Do you know somebody sturdy enough to give themselves an uppercut that they mean it like that? Man, hell no, you don't know something like that, because it's not in our nature. According to Arthur Avalon, there's some things that are not in the propensity of a human to earnestly not have your best interest. Because even when people are pissed off at themselves, they threaten themselves, they're actually seeking a deeper, subtler advantage. Is that by me being angry within, that's a form of leverage and power without, that also benefits my self-interest. So it's not actually all the way against your self-interest. It's very difficult to completely override your self-interest. I think the only way you may do something like that would be the sake of someone you love, which is actually you, if you really love them. And so that still doesn't also override self-interest fundamentally. But to influence oneself is actually the better standpoint to influence without. Also, to understand oneself is a better to understand without. To commune with oneself is a better way to commune with itself. To sing to oneself is a better way to sing without, and on like that. But so like you might know some like some psychology students that get all the way up to dissecting something, but would they want to so hey, we had this new technology, and it allows you to dispense with part of your actual brain tissue. You can do without it. You can actually do without certain parts of your brain, like to confiscate, I'm not going to say the L word, but to confiscate part of your brain. We're actually able to do that now, and you can still survive it. You won't be exactly yourself, but you actually might be a little bit more temperate and sober and more efficient in certain like professions and stuff like that. You won't entirely be yourself as you know yourself to be, as your psyche and stuff. But a lot of that's bullshit, man. We all know that stuff's bullshit. So, but just for the sake of learning, and like if you really want to be a professional, like you call yourself a psychologist, would you be willing to undergo this thing to just confiscate a little bit of your actual brain tissue that you can dispense with, and then you yourself study your own brain tissue like that, and now you're an expert and you're actually very believable at your expertise because you don't have nothing of bullshit, nothing of a personality, and get the hell out of here like that. But that's actually what they try to do to people that want to be like a CDL or something like that. Yeah, I need you to take. So you're not willing to undergo you're not willing to undergo the blade to alter your brain, but all you got to do is pop this little pill. They do the same damn damage, the minimal damage to your brain, override your sense of self and other people's experience of you and your experience of other people experience of you in your congruent self. But you don't need that bullshit. Just pop this little thing right here and you're good to go like that. If anything, you might be better around some of that technical shit because it make you a little bit more robotic, and that's all you really need, like a professional driver to be like a robot and shit, right? As long as it lasts, right? Because everything breaks down, especially robotic shit that's not organic. So we're just gonna turn you into this little robot and shit, get a little miles out of you, and then when your shit start to break down and like half the earth is gone out of your left peripheral vision because that part of your brain has been compromised, don't worry about that shit, man, because we got a nice little padded room for you, pillow, you can rest your head and stuff. We got a little jacket too, keep you warm at night, and you don't even got, like, sometimes people get drunk and shit, they fall asleep at a weird angle and they lose like they lose circulation, and they have to get rid of the arm and shit. We ain't trying to go that far, man, but we might still have some medication for you, and we don't want you to fall asleep on your arm and lose your arm and shit. So we're just gonna put you in this little jacket, keep your arm nice and tight like that in a room. You ain't gotta worry about shit, and you can still see the right part of the earth or the right part with everything in front of you, because that part didn't get all the way fucked over yet. Shit like that is hellified. But actually looking at yourself in the mirror, that helps someone with so communication. A lot of communication is like gauging people, and so when and also like some of the things that people would remark about you, some of the things that would be remarked about you that are in the affirmative, or people can't help but be like, damn, that person actually is kind of like that. That would really speak to what some of your actual real interest and passion and purpose in this life is. As those converge, that might be your real lane right there. What people would remark about you despite themselves, they ain't really trying to give you nothing, not least of which a really superlative statement that benefit your self-esteem. No one trying to give you that, but they can't help but give you that shit if it's really you. And then as that converge on something that would be impressive to you, a person that would be impressive to you, that might be your lane. So when I was young, sometimes people would they would be impressed with the questions I would ask, because I when I was a little toddler and stuff, I asked some people like if there actually is something called God. You said God, is that real? Have you seen? I asked that question before, and it took some adults aback. Or sometimes I'll be like a little kid, and I'll be like 8 years old or 9 years old, and I'm having a full-on conversation with adults, like philosophy, like shit they had never looked into or even thought to ask themselves, but actually like coherent, like right there with them, like, yeah, what do you think about this and that? So like, if we didn't have a nose like that and we could only breathe out of our mouth, what would that be? What would life be like then? And what do you think about that? Like shit like that. And then adults are like, and then when you get grown and shit and you try that same shit, the same stuff, your adults are like, what size coat do you wear? No, I said, what would happen if you didn't have a nose? What size coat do you wear? I wear large. Yeah, we need this full. Get this full a large straight jacket. But so that might really speak to your propensities. And then some of my other propensities would be like, when I was young, like sometimes my mom would be talking to me, she'll be saying something, and I'll just be looking at her like, why are you madly, mommy? Why are you madly right now? Because I think what I want to do, like when I was a little kid, I used to like to play with my mom's hair. Like it was just my mom had this beautiful flowing hair, and I would just want to like touch her hair, like. And then was her reaction, I was like, why are you madly right now? But my mom would say that that took her back, that I could actually perceive how she was really existing in that moment. And then when I was grown, I had like some friends that we'd never get along. And then my friend was different times in life, people would say that I had I had people could tell that they were people could tell that they were presenting themselves one ways, but I was responding to them the way that they were existing, not the way that they were presenting themselves. So people would remark at that. But then what would be remarkable to me would be like some of these people in my life who were they were just impressive, like handsome. But see, sometimes people think that like, how is one person or another person handsome or not? Like, what actually make a person handsome? Like I was a school bus driver. This like if you look at me, right? Like you have near about the same bone structure of your life. I remember when I was young, like I had there was a real actual. Sometimes I got a lot to say about like doctors and stuff like that. But so every once in a while you meet a real. There actually had been something called a doctor that had a healer that had been given to us as human beings the world over. In the human experience to the present day, Western society or otherwise, there had been I think like in Africa, they'd be called like a Sangoma. Sometimes my father speaks about them, and there's a certain look that come over his face when he's referring to a real Sangoma and the experience of that for him. But you might come across that as like a real, actual, no nonsense, no bullshit health professional. An actual competent health professional, but that the exception proves the rule. So I was, in my experience, for every 10 health professionals I run across that are somewhat less than competent and or somewhat less than respectful, every once in a while you come across a real motherfucker that is really about what they do, and they don't gotta disrespect you to really be about their shit. And this one dude was like that. I come across a couple of them, and this one dude was like, he looked at me like when I was a kid, because when I was a kid, I was a basketball player. I was always tall for my age. I was always the tallest one in school. Like I grew up in the Southwest, so I was like a head taller than most people for no damn reason, because my parents weren't that tall. But then when I got to like the end of middle school, the competition started to catch up a little bit, and some of my friends said they started to poke ahead of me like alfalfa in the Little Rascals when his little hair was about to beat the finish line. They were getting ahead of me by a hair like that. But then at the end of high school, I came all the way back up on their ass because I had thought of a little slick maneuver to like take a lot of naps when I come home, and I thought it helped with the growing and shit. And it seemed to have worked. But like people like I was talking to this one time. There's this girl next door. I had a crush on her for a long time. I couldn't help it. Just something about her was just impressive to me. And then I actually got to know her right before the time of the pandemic because we were talking shit in the laundry room. And I had been like watching a lot of the show I used to like called Complex. And back at that time, like right before the pandemic, people would say like finesse. Yeah, man, that fool finessed that shit, man. I'm not gonna lie, he finessed that shit. So I break out that. Sometimes if you really want to get on with the lady friend, ladies like words, but not just any word. That savvy, appropriate, that dope word. Not dope as in like slang or lingo, but just that kind of cute, slick ass word that's also contemporary and it's moving with what's moving right now. That you use that word the right way. That had been the real password magic word. Nobody can figure that shit out because it's actually not that hard to find the right word. But you just got to be in a certain. You got to be like partaking of certain circles, even if it's like just watching videos or like vicariously, you're still getting on with that current. You had dropped that little word like that. Like I would imagine like back in the day, like back in the 60s, like you're hanging out with some girls and stuff. You got these fools over here, they're singing the doo-wop. They're already the girls are in their that guy's hand like that. But it ain't the first time she fell in love, so she can fall out of love. But then you're like, ha, the zappity zap. I had to zap out, man. We were zapping, man. Yeah, man. Yeah, zappity zap, baroo. Or you just said, yeah, man. The zap, man. I had to zap. Did he just say zap? Did he say? And then they say in India, if someone really fall in love with you, they'll follow you beyond this life. And you see that sometimes. Like if you want to see real love, every once in a while you see some people that are up on hard times, really up on hard times, right? You got this fool up on hard times. He don't got nothing to his name. He's living that life with nothing to his name in the streets. The type of slick ass, smooth ass, regular ass, proper ass, any kind of person you run across in the street. But his lady is right there with him in the street, going through that shit in the street in front of any fly ass player, anything. She right there with him. damn near follow him to the next world beyond. That's rock and roll right there. That's rare, but it might be a certain word that gets you like that. So for me, it had been that word finesse. There's this lady I liked for a long time, and I used that word finesse in the laundry room. And then we got to know each other like that, and we had some meaningful conversations, and I grew like the way you know you had a real experience. See, falling in love, it's not really just for the kinks and the thrills like that. That stuff's cool like that, but what's deeper than the kinks and the thrills, and even like the mystery, is the actual growth that you do. That had been real love. If you grew from something, and you're better than that for that, you're more of yourself for that, and other people now you're more attractive now to other people simply because you're more of yourself because of that experience that spoke to you, that has changed you for to make you more of you. That had been something of love right there. And it was like that with this lady, a really fly lady like that, and the way you know she's beautiful is that there have been a lot of people fall in love with her. It's kind of like that movie, like Something About Mary, where you got all these people that have been in love with her for like you got 5 dipshits that actually really been in head over heels with this woman just by her being herself. I had an experience like that where I was spending time with this lady, but I had met at least 2 of her boyfriends over the years that she was friendly with me around. Then I got to, but her boyfriends were also cool as shit, like her guy friends, and like some of them, like I'll say like random shit around them, and then like I'll have nothing going on a Friday night, and then her guy friends will be like, "Hey man, holler at old boy, man. The old boy is cool as hell. Bring him on over here." Then she'll invite me to her apartment because her guy friend was, he wasn't on that type of time like that, but he's just like, that's a cool motherfucker. Invite him up here. I don't think he got nothing better to do. So I'll be around him. Then she had yet other guy friends that she collected over time, but they all really actually like her, and they tolerate each other because they're actually decent, sturdy guys, and she's that beautiful, and we can appreciate her company without one of us have to like be her soulmate and stuff. But it's kind of like a unique experience. Everybody doesn't get to have experience like that, but it's kind of like that movie, like There's Something About Mary, but like without all the sketchy shit. But everybody's a sketch. Everybody can be sketch, and everybody's something of a sketch artist in this life if you really know how people think. But I had that cool experience with her. But one time I was in a car with her, and she was like sometimes like people, you don't know what people actually like about you or impressed about you, but she was but damn, how tall are you? I was like 6'4". She's like, damn, 6'4", not 6'3 1/4, not 6'5", you 6'4". I was like, yeah, 6'4" and shit. And then she's like, damn, and she didn't say that, but you could tell she's like, damn. And then I was like, yeah, but I did it on purpose. She's like, well, for real? I was like, yeah, when I came home from high school, I always take naps and shit, and I think that helped me grow taller. She's like, damn, I wonder why other people didn't think of that. The thing about other people, but what will make you attractive and not is not only your, because like, but that doctor that I met, that competent one, he was like, yeah, man. So, but back at that time, I had been tall in early high school, but not 6'4" yet. And then I went to this basketball. Every once in a while, you've been playing basketball your whole life, right? You're like, yeah, man, I want to be like Mike, man. You've been watching that movie Space Jam. I believe I could fly. I believe I could touch the sky. I think about it every night and day. Spread my wings and fly away. I believe I can soar. I see me running through that open door. I believe I can fly. I believe I can touch the sky. I believe I can fly. Hey man, R. Kelly can still fly, man. I seen a video pop up about him. He was incarcerated. Man, all of us fucked up around something in this life, fucked something up in this life. I'm not saying we don't gotta pay for stuff, but everyone can still fly if they still believe in it. So the man who gave us that song and some other beautiful songs, however you feel about him, he gave us something of beauty, something of himself. With that song, shout out the man R. Kelly for I Believe I Can Fly. And I seen him, they showed him singing like that, and he can damn well fly like that if he changed in his heart from anything he may have done. I can't judge the man. But if he had ever done anything wrong in his heart, man, see, I would never want to get effed over as a fish, but if my fisherman looked as clean as this dude like that, it wouldn't be all that bad. This fool man, I don't mean a black dude look clean, man.
From England, man.
In England, no less, man. Oh man. Man, look, fly, man. He looked more of an artist than an artist. He got like a red Kangol hat out of like baby wool, a red scarf, a black sweater, and some blue jeans. I was actually gonna do something about colors in this, and I want to talk about colors a little bit. But that's actually significant that he would pop up with the red like that. But he's also a red flag because some fish might get fucked over by him. But But the man R. Kelly, man, he may have made some mistakes, about the biggest mistakes you can make, if that's if he feel he did something wrong, that he really did. But we feel like singing, and if we sing in our heart, we're free at that moment. If we're singing from a place of love, we're free in that moment. And there might be other people, because I actually, as he was doing that, I've been practicing singing more so in public, and I was actually getting on some R. Kelly, not the R. Kelly y'all know about, the R. Kelly from before he had blown up, like the Menace to Society soundtrack, Honey Love, stuff like that. I've been singing me some Honey Love at the same time that a video came out of him singing. So sometimes when you're singing, somebody in this life might be singing the same song with you, and we can all still fly like that. But um, uh, um, so you grow up on them, like, want to be MJ vibes like that, and we know none of ours is about to be MJ, but most likely. But then I'll get out to these basketball games every once in a while. I'm already a basketball player. I'm already a high school basketball player, but freshman, mind you. I get to see the varsity at the next school over. Man, don't you know this fool name? This fool was I'm not gonna blast the man's name, but he was 6'4", and he would be dunking on fools like he was 6'4". Man, it was so damn beautiful. I was like, man, I might not ever be able to dunk. I'm not gonna lie, man. I'm not. They say they're not everyone can jump, man. I know that, man. But when he dunked like that, man, that's really beautiful, man. If I could just be as tall as him, man. If I could just be 6'4", man. I didn't even finish that one. Not if nothing. Just if I could just be 6'4", man. I said that when I saw that duel. Like, it's so beautiful like that. He used to do it because you got two kind of dunkers in this life. People don't know if you didn't grow up around basketball. You got people that are sturdy jumping off one leg, and you got people that are sturdy jumping off two legs. I think like MJ, he was more of like a 2 foot. Actually, one of the coolest thing about MJ is that he was a double. He was a 1 or 2 foot dunker. MJ gave us some great dunks with 1 foot. Some of the greatest dunk probably that's been captured. Like, I think, like, Jordan gave us the rock the baby with one leg. But then he also gave us a lot of 2-leg dunks. But some of Jordan's 2-leg dunks, they were more like kind of simple. They weren't like the crazy 2-leg dunks. Then you have like Dr. J. Dr. J was like a 1-legged dunker. I think he was the first one to rock the baby. The baby cradle dunk. I'm talking like I know what the hell a dunk is. Man, I normally couldn't even dunk on like a 7 or 8 foot hoop. As much as I call myself a hooper, this and that, I couldn't even dunk on that 8 foot shit like that. That wasn't my purpose in calling this life. Even though I was a self-styled basketball player and I made some teams, but I'm not knowing shit about dunking. But I do know that the cradle dunk, the baby dunk, one of the beautiful things you may see in the human experience would be Dr. J first, but he was like a 1-legged dunker. Then Jordan did the same thing as a 1-legged dunker, but Jordan gave us some beautiful dunks that were just very like well disciplined and tasteful and efficient with 2 legs, but not the same kind of 2-legged dunks as like you had another dude, what was his name? I saw him in person. Like, one time I ducked out and I dipped off from 9th grade, because when I was in 9th grade, freshman in high school, we had the Final Four was in the Twin Cities that year, the year of 2000, spring of 2000. The way you know somebody's full of shit or not is that the details line up, especially as numbers go, because you can't really fudge those in. So it had been the Final Four here that year. You had Jefferson. I think his name was something Jefferson. He played for the Nets. You had some great talent that are getting ready to be famous that year. Like Gilbert Arenas was there. I saw him practicing, and he was there. His team was there. You had Jefferson. At that time, Jefferson had one of the highest verticals in college basketball, and he did that shit in the NBA later. But he was another 2-foot dunker. Then you had a brother. He was from Michigan. I forget his name, from Michigan. He was another dunk artist in the NBA, man. A lot of people are like, how many rings do you got? Man, I don't know. Being the GOAT doesn't necessarily mean you got the greatest ring. Some of it is just you gave us the greatest dunks and shit, man. But it was this other brother from Michigan back then, and I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but he was a great 2-foot dunker like that. But this brother that I saw at locally here, he was a 2-foot dunker, 6'4", 2-foot dunker, just dunking on fools like that. You know, like if you're playing a game of horse, he wasn't all the way back at the free throw. He'd been at like just a couple rungs back. You know, like that regular tier kind of 2-foot dunk like that. Just dunking on fools, man. Just getting a load off on fools, man, in front of everybody and their mama and their girlfriend and the coach and the cheerleaders and and the college recruiters that were thinking about giving them a contract. They might still give them a contract because they just just got dunked on and shit, but they still got a sturdy 3-pointer, and all we really need them for is like to be a good sturdy practice player to give competition, because they're probably going to work hard and do the drills right and give people a little bit of like, they're going to be like cannon fodder in practice. And then we need to put them in there. There'd be a 3-point artist like that, shit like that, man. Shit that get the victory. We're not necessarily trying to get them all the way to the NBA or even get them a sturdy education, because we just need them to help us win and shit like that, so we can use them like that. But he did that to all them fools like that, and it's really beautiful. So I was like, damn, if I had only once been 6'4". But then I actually got to like a doctor around that time, like 9th grade, and he was looking at my bone structure. He was like, oh yeah, man, this and that. So according to this and that, you're gonna be 6'4". I was like, wait, you said I'm gonna be 6'4"? He's like, yeah, man, you just look out here, you're gonna be 6'4" like that. Yeah, no. Yeah, and also, but also, by the way, how's it going with homework and stuff like that? He didn't give a fuck. He didn't care I'm about to be 6'4". He just let me know I'm about to be 6'4" and stuff, because he could tell by my bones like that. But also, like, heaven forbid you get enough trouble, right? So I'm not gonna say like, sometimes you know how dirty people are doing. You don't know. So I want this is actually, this is a